Hello, how's everybody doing? Today I came up with uh this idea or this thought, not really a thought, but it's what I'm doing right now, the video of this deep pain that ex-Jehovah Witnesses have to bear. And as I go on, I can see things more clearly. As I said, we've been going through this for a long time, but it's getting sharper and sharper to where I can pick out things. And I can see now that we have a deep pain, okay? Things that can happen to an ex Jehovah. I'm not saying it doesn't happen to anybody else, but I know it happens randomly to ex Jehovah Witnesses all the time. And we probably never even notice it. And what got me to thinking about it was two things actually. The one thing that I was thinking about, I had a grandmother. She was on my half brother's side. It was my mother was married before, as you know, and she respected her former husband's. It was before me. Mother. They went through a lot together, but my mother used to let her in the house. And I know that she had a deep respect for her and love for her because, she would let her smoke in the house. That's one thing I liked about my mother. I mean, there were certain people who would come in, but, she was a Jehovah Witness, but there was people that she really let come into the house and they could smoke. And it was just like, these people, forget it. These people are like attached to me. And my grandmother was one of them. She had great respect for her. We used to visit her a lot too. And I remember that she really saw there was connection that we had because she remembered always. She told me that when I was young, I made a picture for her. And one time I went over her house and she goes, "I still have the picture. You want to see it?" And I remember the picture, and she showed me the picture, and I couldn't remember it then. Now I kind of remember it. But anyway, when I got this fellowship, this is years and years gone by, and my ex-wife, story of that. We were together, and one time she told me, because she could see my family, and I couldn't. That's another deep pain, okay? Because, you have an ex-wife who's in a Jehovah Witness. Well, she wasn't my ex-wife then, but it was getting close. So you have your wife who's a Jehovah Witness, and you can't see your parents and your family, but she can. And that's a deep pain. That's what I'm talking about. We don't even notice that we're so good at it. I mean, we're adept at holding this pain that we don't even realize. We just keep it. It's really, really something else how we do it. But anyway, she told me, she goes, your grandmother was there. This also shows that they have to lie. They have to lie. So it's such a corrupt sect or whatever, because they had to lie. And she told me, that's one thing about my ex-wife. She would tell me what was happening, especially because she was so shocked at some of the things that they would do, but she would never tell them. She's not really. I tell you a story about my ex-wife. I already told you about that. So anyway, she said, "You know what? Your grandmother came. Graham, we call her Graham." She goes, and she kept asking for you, and she was getting older and older. And she would say, "Where's Pierre?" And they would change the subject. A lie. Okay, omission of information is also a lie. Okay, and they would change the subject or do whatever or say something, and she said that they would go, that she would go, "Oh yeah, but where's Pierre?" You know, and she kept asking, "Where's Pierre? Where's Pierre? Where's Pierre?" And she wouldn't stop. And my ex-wife would go, well, she's my ex-wife now, but she would call. She kept asking and asking. They kept changing the subject and saying this and saying that, but they never told her. And that's how spiteful that religion is. I mean, their heart is totally cold. I mean, it's no heart, because any normal person, with someone getting older, would it would just tear them apart. It would tear me apart. I mean, we as Christians cannot do that. Even, you don't even have to be a Christian. I mean, I know some people who couldn't do that, and they're atheists or whatever. But anyway, Christians, we already went over that subject, but I'm just saying, I don't think anybody could do that here. I mean, out here in the Christian world. And they could do it. They can actually do it. And that's but what they're doing is they're giving us that deep pain that we don't scream, we don't holler, or maybe some people do. Just so many things, and we have to hold it in. So that's also showing how they do something and we have to accept it. Not just that, but I was also thinking about a deep pain, because when my mother she was like 3 years, they know she was going to pass away, and she wanted to see us. They knew in their heart that she wanted to see us. You know, that she wanted to see me and my brother, or me, and they would not let her. They didn't even tell us now. After 3 years, that's another thing. There's no heart there. There's something just frozen. Okay, and that's what they did for themselves. I mean, so far I can just blame them, but we have to suffer that deep pain, because when they told me about it, and I'll tell you the story. I already told you a story about how my sister told me about it, and that's a deep pain that we have to live with. It's just almost like, how in the world can this happen? So that's another deep pain. You know, things like that we have to handle. And that's what I call it. Not just that, but I can name them over and over and over again, you know. A lot of it has to do with family, but it doesn't have to, it could extend to other things. Like, you know, as an ex-Jehovah Witness, how much easier it would be if your family talked to you, or if you could, you know, ask your friend something or whatever. But we have to deal with the deep pain that we have. And a lot of us don't realize it, but, you know, we're in these YouTube videos to where we have to recognize a lot of things that we want to just ignore. But I don't want to ignore that. I'm that type of person like ignoring it. I think when you face it, you become stronger, because you can name it. Like, for instance, now, I mean, because I went over it, and I'm there right now to where I see a lot of deep pain, I can name it, and I can say, well, you know, this or that. But that's another thing I wanted to stress. You know, just things that could facilitate your life, to help make your life easier, but we don't have that easy way. We just have to keep it in, this deep pain, and to where it's so strange, because it's not something that we scream out about, that we talk to people about. I mean, you know, it's pretty much so many things that you don't really have, you can't really put a finger on all of the deep pain that we have. But I can say that God helps us. So there's something that I always say. I always say, when I get depressed, when I get depressed, or when I get really down, and it can be really, really low, but I can't get down too far, because because I'm praying, because I'm talking, you know, I'm praying to God most of the time. Everybody knows how I am, and will tell him that I am totally depressed and I'm totally upset and I'm totally mad. And then he goes, well, what about me? And he changes my whole life. He changes everything, and I'm not depressed or anything. He does it. God does that to me every time. If I get depressed or I get really, really angry or something like that, and he goes, what about me? And I changes everything. And so I can't really get depressed or anything. I think it's sometimes we think that I'm almost sure that God helps us when we get depressed, or sometimes we think that somebody's laughing at us or something like that. Maybe he's just wants to change our personality and help us out, you know. Because I used to always think that. I used to say, what's this happiness? You know what I mean? You know, you can get really, really upset, and then you feel this like something inside that's not happy. I mean, that's happy. Well, that's probably, you know, God trying to help you to, like, hey, look at it this way or look at it that way. So now we have a name for that too. So anyway, that's probably what helps us in the deep pain. So I see you all later, and I hope everybody's doing well. Have a good time, and wait for the next YouTube. Thank you. Bye-bye.